Hi, everybody. Please help me keep Greyhawk alive by liking this video and subscribing. It really does help. You can also become a member of the channel or support me on Patreon and get early access to my videos, exclusive content, free or at-cost copies of my Greyheim Adventures modules, and more. Thanks, and enjoy the show. It's that time again when I go through the various uh, fan-created projects that have been put up on DM's Guild for the World of Greyhawk, and that's what I'm going to do today on Greyhawk Rock. As usual, I include a disclaimer. I have paid for all of these products myself. None of them was given to me as a gift or otherwise. So you're getting a real, honest review of all these things. That said, let's get going. So first up, we have Greyhawk Expanded: The Baklunish Near West by RVN Creative Studios. Author is credited as RVN Creative Studios. Uses Adobe stock art, art from Jeffrey Koch, I think, John Laffa, Obsidian, Dean Spencer, and Frank Walls. The lead designer in the PDF itself is credited as K. Scott Agnew, with additional design by Kevin Knight, if that helps. This is a kind of an expansion and focusing of RVN Creative Studios. Greyhawk Expanded: A Player's Guide to Owerk, which we covered in a previous episode of this. And this covers, as the title might suggest, the Baklunish West, which is the area of the Flornes that's off to the upper northwest corner of the Flornes map. And in fact, their map actually goes beyond the original Darlene map and most of the other maps that you've seen. This does come with a on the very first page after the cover, a disclaimer / trigger warning. And I know this is a hot topic for people, especially now. So I wanted to put a little focus on this. The content of Greyhawk Expanded: The Baklunish Near West includes themes such as slavery and societal gender roles presented in a fantasy context. These elements add depth to the setting, but are not intended to condone or glorify such practices. Instead, they serve as storytelling tools to challenge oppression and inspire resistance. Slavery exists in the Baklunish Near West. Those slaves often have legal rights that distinguish their status from historical chattel slavery. Slavery is unequivocally portrayed as a moral wrong, and player characters are encouraged to oppose it. Stories frequently explore themes of freedom and justice. Similarly, harems or harems, I'm not sure how you'd pronounce it here, in this setting reflect historical inspirations, but provide opportunities for intrigue and subversion. For instance, the Padishah Sultan's harem houses veiled court spies and assassins, showing how characters wield power within these systems. These themes aim to foster nuanced storytelling. Greyhawk Expanded balances realism with fantasy, encouraging narratives that challenge oppressive systems and highlight justice and empowerment. Again, I highlight this because the whole idea of disclaimers and trigger warnings and such for these sorts of products is a hot topic of discussion at the moment. Um, Personally, I think that is exactly the what's in that disclaimer is exactly right, is that the reason these things must be included is because, and not just be ignored and suppressed, is because, it gives players an opportunity to be heroes when you have stuff that's bad. So, you have to you have to give them something to act as foils against. That said, I personally am not a fan of including trigger warnings and disclaimers at all. I think I think the ideas that are presented in this trigger warning are self-evident and do not need to be called out, especially when you start including stuff about um, themes of justice and resistance and things like that. But that said, it's there. Take it or leave it if you like it or not. Like I say, I agree with the intent. I don't agree with the necessity of including it explicitly in the text. Now, that said, the Baklunish Near West is a 70-page PDF. It's very well done. It has nice interior artwork, has some really slick maps. They do a good job on the maps with RVN. It appears to be, one of them is kind of a zoom in on the map from their Player's Guide to Owerk, to Orc, and another one I think is a new map which shows kind of a historical progression of how the Baklunish expanded into their current territory, and some historical stuff about the Sul Empire and where the Iridians came from and so forth. So those maps are good. Overall physical content seems good. It does use the new DM's guide um, uh, names for the nations. So Ekbir has been downgraded from a caliphate to a sultanate, which I'm not a fan of for reasons I've said in other videos. But there it is. They're being consistent with the 5e DM's guide, which is perfectly fine. That's I've made similar changes, if not that particular one. It does give a little. It gives history, an idea of culture. Um, it gives religion. It gives the Near West Gazetteer, so it goes through the different nations and so forth. Gives player options. There's backgrounds, character classes, a new subclass, the Dervish, which is a cool idea. A new monk subclass, the Warrior of Infinite Paths. A new wizard subclass, the Elementalist, and orcs of the Baklunish Near West, which is an interesting idea. It gives a in-depth treatment of Baklunish religion, and wraps up with factions, and there's a whole thing of rumors, which is also very nice. Um, I will give the same disclaimer here that, and ironically, that I gave when I talked about their player's guide. It does not present a canonical view of the world of Greyhawk. Their player's guide, and I'm assuming this is based on the continent of Orc as it is presented in the player's guide. It doesn't include a lot of the lands to the west and off of the map. It kind of cuts the map off after a point, which I understand a lot of people don't like the map from Dragon Annual 1. Personally, I think it's what we got, so you got to live with it. But a lot of people don't like it, and this will appeal to them. Overall, I think there's a lot of good stuff in here. The obvious contrast is with my own Baklunish series of articles that appeared on my website as part of the Dragon magazine series, where I also give an expanded Baklunish pantheon and subclasses. My stuff's for first edition, but take that as what you will. As with all of this sort of thing, I'm sure there are most DMs are going to pick and choose what they like out of different sources, but it is. This is something that's near and dear to my heart because I covered the same material myself. Um, and I like what they did for the 5e stuff here. It's well done. It is $9.99 for a 70-page PDF. That's right in my sweet spot price wise. So I would personally get this. I'm probably going to steal some things out of here for my own game when the time comes, and kind of mix it in with the stuff that I did. But on the whole, I give this a thumbs up. So there we go. The Greyhawk expanded Baklunish Near West. Okay, next up, we have Fate of Istus, the Nostalgic Conversion by Igor Communale. I hope. I hope that's pronounced correctly. It does list the artists as Midjourney AI, so be aware of that for those of you who don't like AI art. It is a 67-page PDF for $5.99, so it definitely hits the sweet spot cost-wise. And this is something I want more people to be doing, although there is one problem I have with it, but I'll get to that in a sec. But conversions of classic modules into the 5e realm. That is something that I want to see more people doing, myself included. Once I get the time, I'm going to start myself doing that. But what needs to happen is we need to be opening up these classic old modules for the newer audience. And this is the first one I've seen that actually does that. And it does a very credible job of doing it. The interior has the standard, what you expect of a 5e book. It's got the page backgrounds and so forth. The art, again, AI. There's not much of it. It does not include the maps from the original, nor does it include new maps based on those originals. So you definitely need a copy of Fate of Istis to run this adventure. Now that said, uh, it does have one glaring problem, and that is that it takes large chunks of text from the original and just copies and pastes it into this book. And that is something that is explicitly called out as something you're not allowed to do, according to the DM's Guild license, as far as my reading of it goes. I still love this book though. If they had taken the time to paraphrase the text from the original rather than just copying it and pasting it, this would be a home run. As it is, this still counts as my pick of the week. Definitely for $5.99 for 67 pages of a 5e version of a classic module. Even if it's a flawed module, it's still a classic module. It has a lot of great information in it about different cities in the Flanaess and so forth. Because what it does is it basically, gives some of the flavor text, and then it gives the 5e stat blocks for the different monsters and NPCs and stuff, which is exactly what a conversion like this is supposed to do. So you now have what is a 5e Grey Priest of Hextor look like? What is so forth and so on. So that's the meat of this, and that's really why you want to get this thing. But again, you still do need to get the original. You can get it on DM's Guild, I believe, as a PDF, the original that this is based on, and put it together and run a really great 5e campaign using this. So pick of the week. One major flaw, but they can fix it. I would probably go out on a limb and say get this while you can. And last but not least, we have Trinkets of Greyhawk, Keep on the Borderlands by David Stevens, who I believe is a name we've seen before here. The artists are credited as Dean Spencer, Henrik Carpanian. I apologize for I'm not going to try to read these. I apologize, but I've slaughtered these names enough. I'm not going to do it anymore. This is an 11-page PDF for $1.50, and it is exactly what it says on the cover. This is a bunch of trinkets in the 5e sense of little minor items. Some of them are magical, some of them are not. That you can use to enhance your Keep on the Borderlands game in 5e. It's just little things they can spark off a bit of an adventure here. They can add color to an NPC or something like that. So it's definitely worth getting if you're going to be running Keep on the Borderlands. Even if you're not running 5e, you can always adapt these things. A lot of them don't have any actual stats or powers or anything. It's definitely worth getting if your Keep on the Borderlands game is happening. $1.50, you can't go wrong. So another yes, get this. And there we go. It was a light 2 weeks. Not a lot of people posting stuff, but hey, I'm still going to keep covering these things as long as people do. So hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will talk to you all later.
Thanks for watching today's video. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Below you'll find links to my Patreon, which helps make these videos possible. You'll also find the web store where you can buy my books, and my blog where you'll find all sorts of free downloads and other articles. Thanks, and have a great day.